Hello and welcome to your weekly Excel tutorial with Dave. Today we're going to talk about the if statement in VBA. So in VBA, the syntax of the if statement can be seen here. So we have the if and the end if, which begins and ends the if statement. You have then the logical test, which is, in this case, cell A2 equals the string John Doe. And then you have to end the actual if statement with then. So if this statement is true, then do this. After you've done this, or if this is not true, if this is false, end if, and then in this case end the subroutine. So let's go ahead and get started with that. A2 is John Doe. Right now, that statement is true. So what it's going to do is it's going to read this text, which is a message box, which we learned in a previous video, and it's going to say the first record is John Doe. So, as a test, first record is John Doe. If I remove that, this simple if statement does nothing. I hit start and it runs and it does nothing. It goes to the if, it evaluates this and says this is false, so it ends if, and then it ends the subroutine. So, let's go ahead and undo that. Moving along to our else example, you have an if statement and it says to do this if there's an if that's true. Else, if this is false, then automatically do this. I don't want to define everything I want it to do if that record's not true. So just because that record is not true, or that evaluation is not true, I don't want it to completely stop or ignore or anything like that, and I don't want to go through and define every possible scenario. So I'll just use this else statement. So you have, if it's John Doe, then say it's John Doe. If it's not John Doe, if it's anything else, then tell me that it's not John Doe. That's what I care about. So if I go ahead and hit start here, the first record is John Doe, which is true. If I delete this, and then run it again, the first record is not John Doe. So it's running completely different code there. You can actually get pretty creative and do whatever you would like in these two statements. The third example is actually a little bit more fun, so let me undo and bring John Doe back. It's a little more fun, and you can actually define this else if many times. I've probably used it up to 20 times, which is very poor design, but I did it copy and paste because I felt like it. Anyway, back to this. The if statement is exactly the same, and the code is exactly the same. If it's John Doe, tell me it's John Doe. The else is also still here. So if none of this above happens to be true, if none of those evaluations happen to be true, then still tell me it's not John Doe. But in this case, so let's go ahead and run it. It's John Doe. We delete it, and it says it's not John Doe. But then we have this third piece right here, the else if. So this is your second delineation. This, you have an evaluation. Is it John Doe? No. Well, then move to the else if. Now we have the same cell, which try and keep it so that your evaluations are similar enough to where you're not accidentally leaving things out. So I'm evaluating the same cell both times. So I saw A2, cell A2, but is cell A2 Susie Q? So I had misspelled Susie Q on my spreadsheet previously, which you may note in other videos, but I've corrected it now. So is cell A2 Susie Q? If that's true, then run this. Tell me that it's not John Doe, and tell me that it is Susie Q. And then obviously else, if neither one of these two are true, then just tell me it's not John Doe. So right now, we're still at it's not John Doe. But if I copy Susie Q, bring her up to the top here, then it tells me it is not John Doe and it's Susie Q. Keep in mind that these are incredibly simple results. It's just a message box to show you that the code here is actually being executed, or the code here is being executed, and it's ignoring everything else that's not true in this if statement. So from here, from if to end if, you're only running one portion at a time. So if I have something that's actually not the same, so let's bring this back to John Doe. So it's going to run this piece of the code. But by the nature of this being false, or by this being true, this statement has to be false. Not always the case. So if I design this poorly, and let's say I make both of these true, so A3 is Susie Q. So A2 is John Doe, but A3 is also Susie Q. Both of those statements are true. What happens is it's going to go in order. So it goes to this statement first, and if this is true, it certainly runs this. It shows me that it's John Doe. But it's going to skip this entirely because it's already found a true statement within this if to end if. It's only going to run one statement. So let me show you what I mean. First record is John Doe. That's true, and it ran the code fine. It ran the code right here. But it never ran this code because it found a true situation, it evaluated as true, and so it ran this code, and then it ignored everything else. It didn't run any of this, and went straight to the end if, and then ended the subroutine because there's no code after that. So if you found this video helpful, if you like this video, please subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments or send me a message and I'll get back to you. Thank you.